Welcome to the Edutaining History channel. Before we continue, please consider to like and subscribe to help us out. We would also really appreciate you to watch the video till the end. Let us know in the comments what you liked or disliked. In 1698, a prisoner was moved into the Bastille prison in Paris. He was described as a man who was always masked, his name never pronounced. For 5 years he lived in isolation until his death in 1703, when his clothes were burned, the walls of his cell scraped down, and every trace of his existence erased. But here's the thing, this wasn't just any prisoner. This was the most closely guarded secret in all of France, a man whose identity was so dangerous that he was forced to wear an iron mask for decades. Actually, it wasn't even iron, it was black velvet. But that doesn't make his story any less extraordinary. I'm standing here on the small island of Sainte-Marguerite, just off the coast of Cannes in France. This peaceful Mediterranean paradise hides a dark secret. It was once home to the mysterious masked prisoner before he was transferred to the Bastille. The fortress behind me, Fort Royal, housed this enigmatic figure for years as he was moved from prison to prison across France. The identity of the man in the iron mask has fascinated people for over 300 years. Alexandre Dumas immortalized him in his novel, transforming a historical footnote into one of the greatest mysteries of all time. But who was this prisoner really? Was he the secret twin brother of King Louis XIV, as Dumas suggested? A disgraced nobleman? Or something else entirely? Today we're going to examine the evidence, explore the theories, and attempt to unmask this enigmatic figure once and for all. Let's start with what we actually know. The first documented mention of our mysterious prisoner appears in a letter dated July 1669. The Marquis de Louvois wrote to the governor of Pignerol prison, Benin de Saint-Mar, about a prisoner named Eustache Dauger who would soon be arriving. Interestingly, the name appears to have been added by a different person than the one who wrote the letter, our first clue that something unusual was happening. Saint-Mar was given explicit instructions. The prisoner was to be kept in isolation and would be killed immediately if he spoke of anything other than his basic needs. For a simple valet, as Dauger was claimed to be, these were extraordinary security measures. Our masked prisoner's journey is well documented. He was first imprisoned at Pignerol in the Italian Alps, then moved to exiles, then to the island fortress of Sainte-Marguerite, where I'm standing now, and finally to the Bastille in Paris. What's remarkable is that the same prison governor, Saint-Mar, accompanied him throughout this decades-long journey. This level of continuity in guarding a prisoner was unprecedented and speaks to his importance. Here on Sainte-Marguerite, the prisoner was kept in a cell with multiple doors. One could not be opened until the previous one was closed. Food was delivered by the governor himself, and dishes were immediately destroyed after use to prevent any messages being passed. Despite these precautions, there are accounts of the prisoner attempting to communicate with the outside world. One story tells of him scratching a message onto a silver plate and throwing it from his window. A fisherman found it and brought it to Saint-Mar, claiming he couldn't read. Whether true or not, the fisherman was allegedly imprisoned until officials were convinced of his illiteracy, then released. What's fascinating is that you can still visit this island today. Just a short 15-minute ferry ride from Cannes, Sainte-Marguerite Island is now a popular tourist destination. The former prison has been transformed into the Musée de la Mer, or Museum of the Sea, where you can actually step inside what's believed to be the cell of the man in the iron mask. Standing in that cell, with its thick stone walls and small window overlooking the Mediterranean, you can't help but feel the weight of history. Imagine spending years of your life here, your identity erased, your face hidden, with only the sound of waves as company. The museum also houses Roman artifacts, shipwreck remains, and maritime exhibits. But it's the prison cell that draws most visitors. Walking the same grounds as this mysterious prisoner creates a tangible connection to one of history's greatest enigmas. Over the centuries, historians have proposed numerous candidates for the man in the iron mask. Let's examine the most compelling theories. The most dramatic theory, popularized by Voltaire and later Dumas, suggests the prisoner was the older twin brother of King Louis XIV. According to this theory, the twin was hidden away to prevent any challenge to Louis's claim to the throne. While this makes for a fantastic story, there's little historical evidence to support it. Louis XIV's birth was very public, witnessed by numerous courtiers, making a secret twin highly unlikely. Several nobles have been proposed as candidates, including the Duke of Beaufort, who disappeared during a military expedition, or Nicolas Fouquet, Louis XIV's superintendent of finances who fell from grace. However, Fouquet's fate is well documented. He died in prison in 1680, while our masked man lived until 1703. A more plausible theory suggests the prisoner was the real Eustache Dauger de Cavoye, son of a captain in Cardinal Richelieu's guards. He was forced to resign from the army in disgrace after killing a young boy in a drunken brawl. The problem? Records show Dauger de Cavoye died in the 1680s, while our masked prisoner lived until 1703. One compelling theory comes from a coded message from King Louis XIV concerning General Vivien de Bulonde, who angered the king when he abandoned supplies and wounded soldiers while retreating from Austrian troops. The decoded message ordered Bulonde to be arrested and conducted to the fortress of Pignerol, where he would be locked in a cell under guard at night and permitted to walk the battlements during the day with a 33309. Researchers believe 330 meant mask and 309 meant full stop. However, records indicate Bulonde didn't die until 1709, 6 years after our masked prisoner. In 2016, after 30 years of research, Professor Paul Sanino at the University of California, Santa Barbara proposed what many consider the most plausible theory. He believes the man in the iron mask was Eustache Dauger, not the military officer, but a valet who served Cardinal Mazarin, the chief minister to young King Louis XIV. According to Sanino, Dauger had knowledge of Mazarin stealing a fortune from the King and Queen of England. When Dauger revealed this information, he was arrested and told he would be killed if he ever revealed his identity. This theory explains several key facts: why the prisoner was treated with certain privileges despite being a servant, why he was kept in isolation, and why his identity was such a closely guarded secret. It wasn't about who he was, but what he knew. The Man in the Iron Mask has inspired countless books, films, and television shows. From Leonardo DiCaprio's dual role as both Louis XIV and his twin in the 1998 film to more recent adaptations, our fascination with this mystery endures. But perhaps what makes this story so compelling isn't just the mystery itself, but what it represents: the absolute power of the French monarchy, capable of erasing a person's entire identity and existence. When the masked prisoner died on November 19, 1703, Sainte-Marguerite described him as disposed to the will of God and to the king. Unlike most prisoners, he seemed accepting of his fate. His body was buried under the name Marchioli in the Bastille Saint-Antoine cemetery. His cell was scrubbed clean, his possessions burned, and his existence nearly erased from history. Nearly, but not completely. Because here we are over 3 centuries later, still fascinated by his story, still trying to unmask the truth. Standing here in what may have been his cell on the island of Sainte-Marguerite, I can't help but feel a connection to this nameless, faceless man. In some ways, his anonymity has granted him a kind of immortality that even kings don't achieve. Perhaps that's the final irony of the Man in the Iron Mask. In trying to erase him from history, Louis XIV ensured he would never be forgotten. The truth may never be known with absolute certainty, but as we've seen, the most compelling evidence points to a valet who knew too much about the corrupt dealings of the powerful. Not a twin prince or a disgraced nobleman, but an ordinary man caught in extraordinary circumstances. If you're ever in the south of France, I highly recommend taking the short ferry ride to Sainte-Marguerite Island. Walking through the fortress, standing in that cell, and looking out at the same view the masked prisoner would have seen creates a connection to history that no book or film can match. What do you think? Who was the Man in the Iron Mask? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this historical mystery, please like this video and subscribe for more explorations into history's greatest enigmas. Until next time, remember, Sometimes the most fascinating stories are the ones history tried to hide.